The Holdovers, directed by Alexander Payne, is a movie that just came out Friday, November 12th or 11th, 10th. I don't know. I think it was November 10th. And me and Cam went to see it. I was very, very excited for this movie, mainly off the fact that I am a huge Alexander Payne movie. I haven't seen all of his movies. Ironically, the two ones I haven't seen are Sideways and what's the other one? Nebraska. Oh, excuse me. Which are obviously two of his most popular movies. But ever since I watched Election earlier this year, I've just have been very much into his movies and have been wanting to experience more of them because I really like the way that he takes characters and puts them in situations that they don't want to really be in the first place, but they usually come together, or they usually it gets worse and worse, like in the case of Election. And it's just like everything spirals out of control, and then they move on with their lives. Like this big imminent thing is happening that they're sucked up in, and then they move on, and they don't think about it for a while, and it either really affects them or doesn't affect them at all. So that may not make a lot of sense, but what I'm trying to say here is that I love how Alexander Payne puts characters in situations they don't want to be in and changes their perspective on life because of the weird situation that they don't want to be in. That specific type of narrative storytelling is one of my favorites, and the way he does it specifically is very up my alley, and I really love a lot of his movies and just the style of filmmaking that he chooses to have in all of his movies. And with this one, I went in expecting to really like it and for it to really be heartwarming, but I did not expect what we got with The Holdovers. The Holdovers is easily one of my favorite movies of the year, and I mean atop the list. Not necessarily number one, but very close. And especially if you've been following like my channel for most of this year, you will know that there's some pretty stiff competition in that role. So man, I was blown away by The Holdovers. It was so human and so genuine and so funny, like legitimately hilarious and well acted and well performed and well shot. All like every element is firing on all cylinders here, and it just feels like a movie that has always existed. Because where Alexander Payne and the filmmakers that kind of ride the same wavelength, where they're at fault some of the time, at least for me, is they focus in too much on the performances and the characters and don't make everything interesting around them. They will give, there will be some really great dialogue, really great performances, and then like that's it. So with this movie, I was really worried that was going to happen, but like they match each other. Each time we get like a really great monologue or a really awesome I don't know, insight into the character's background. The visuals that are going on around them and the setting that they're in are heightening either the comedy or emotion of that specific scene. So I don't know, I felt like the tone and the editing and the overall balance of the film was perfect. I didn't ever really feel the length. I felt like the over 2-hour runtime was necessary. I could have watched like 45 minutes more of this film. And the way the story flowed, it's very much a hangout movie. So if you're not into those, you might be a little bit bored. But man, I bought right into it, and it just felt how the holidays felt. You watch a lot of Christmas movies or Christmas adjacent movies, and they don't capture really what it feels like. And I feel like this movie hit it out of the park, and at every angle, it chose to tell kind of 3 different adjacent stories that are merging into each other on purpose, and I felt like it did it perfectly. It felt like what the holidays feel like at each age, and the sense of loneliness they bring on, even if you have a great family, even if you have something going for you, just the loneliness that the holidays can bring, but also the joy and the coming togetherness and making your own family. I don't know, it all just very much hit for me, even if I can't directly relate to it. The performances here are also flawless. One, I think, again, that is partially due to the script and how well written each of the characters are. But man, Paul Giamatti, I have not seen him act this well in, man, I can't tell you how long. As I was saying, I have not seen Paul Giamatti give this great of a performance in a really long time. He's a very talented actor, and we've seen it so many times. It's just that he chooses to be in really shitty movies a lot of the time. So, besides that, he, again, just felt tailor-made for this role. He was hilarious. I mean, I was out loud, like, stomach laughing from a lot of his lines, and specifically his line delivery, and how believable he was as this, like, very pretentious, very academic, old school teacher at this boarding school. And I just completely bought into his character and how legitimately kind of nurturing he could be, and a good role model. I don't know. It just, he felt, I wish this guy was real. Like, I wish he was tangible and I could get life advice from him. I don't know. I very much felt trusting of Paul Giamatti's character in this movie. And he just very much won me over. Also with the assist of his two co-stars, Dominic Sezza and Divine Joy Randolph, who absolutely steal the show. Dominic Sezza, this is his first role, and he was so good. He captured that like essence of 70s snobby teenager with like the long hair and the way he talked, and just his mannerisms really worked for me. And I felt like he also gave a very realistic and poignant performance, especially with the heavy emotional stuff. He did really well. But Divine Joy Randolph, her character goes through probably the hardest situation out of the three, not to compare them at all from what they're going through in their personal lives, but like she is dealing with the most fresh trauma out of the three of them. And it is handled with such delicacy and such care and such love for this character that I just, again, it got me every single time. I was super emotional when she was talking about her son throughout the entire movie. Again, not really, that's not really a spoiler because that happens pretty early on in the movie. But I won't discuss it more. But just her entire emotional journey throughout, from when we first see her to the last scene we get with her in the film, is so on another level of well handled, I guess. Her whole storyline, her performance, everything involving Divine Joy Rudolph's character was just perfect. I absolutely loved it. The visuals of this film are great. I feel like the music paired with the setting is one of my favorite elements of the movie. The soundtrack is perfect, but the way the school and the towns and the cities that they visit are shot are just magnificent. They were so good. But mainly what I want to tie it into here at the end, this movie feels important. It feels like something that if you are feeling like shit, if you're having a terrible day, if you just need something to pick you up, you should go to this movie. Because not only is it, on an entire another plane of quality in terms of like Christmas movies, it captures such a humanity and such like a distinct feeling that it taps into that you cannot get from any other movie. It just feels so human and so accurate and so honest, but honest in a way that wasn't like cynical or wasn't defeatist. This movie was very hopeful, but just telling the truth. And movies like that, really, I'm a sucker for them, and this is one of the best I've seen in a really long time. So I'm going to give The Holdovers a really strong A. It was definitely one of my more messier reviews, but This movie, I don't know, it just makes me feel like this swell of emotion, and I connected to it on such a deep personal level that not only is the filmmaking top notch, but it hits home on a personal level as well. So yeah, I gave the Holdovers a strong A. Have you seen the Holdovers? Let me know what you thought of it in the comments. Please, if you haven't, go check out this movie. I could recommend it to quite literally anyone, and I feel like you could get something out of it. But man, yeah, this one really, this is going to be up there for my favorite movies of the year. So if you're liking these reviews, please subscribe. Tell your friends. Give me some feedback in the comments, all that stuff. And I will see you guys with the next review.